Hello.
Hi, Amanda.
Hello. I thought I'd join for a few minutes
That's
between other things, really just to say goodbye to you all. Word is going around, but I don't know how many know that I have decided that I'm going to retire, at least from nursing. I don't know whether it's going to be full retirement. It depends how the money lasts out. But,
Good for you. Go for it. I've been retired now for 3 years and I'm loving every single bit of it. I used to be a coach driver, but obviously I can't now with Parkinson's. I'm enjoying my retirement with all the grandchildren. Wonderful decision. Good for you.
I haven't got any grandchildren, but yes, I am looking forward to it, and I will miss you all. But I think the time has come to go and do something different.
You know that when the time's right. I've got 21 grandchildren.
Oh my goodness!
My
God!
Oh wow!
Don't ask me what their birthdays are, though. The wife does all that. Bless her.
Oh, bless her. Well, yeah. Amanda, can I just say on behalf of us all, you've been an absolute stalwart of the service, certainly since I've been involved, and probably for a long while prior to that. You've been a star, and
thank you.
The service and us will miss you enormously. So I think a really big thank you for all you've done, and particularly just coming in to join us. So I think we ought to give Amanda a round of applause and say just thank you for.
Thank you. You'll get me all upset.
I know. That's good.
That's good.
That's good. That's good. Absolutely. No.
My job has been advertised, so they are sort of trying to get on as soon as possible with finding my replacement.
Good. Good.
So I might have the chance of seeing you.
Sorry?
I might have the chance of seeing you, perhaps. Paul Worth was referring me this morning.
Right. So are you a newly diagnosed patient?
No, diagnosed 2 years ago. I've moved up to Cambridge.
Okay.
5 months now.
So when people are first referred to us, there's a standard 18-week NHS wait. And at the moment we are, and this is if anyone else is sort of joining, we are getting more than double the usual number of referrals, whilst trying to catch up with everything. So we have been, and the others will do the best they can, but I'm afraid we are not seeing everybody within 18 weeks at the moment, because staffing is still not where it should be without me going as well, and we are getting, it's quite a bit more than double our normal level of new referrals at the moment.
Yeah, understood.
So I won't be seeing you, I'm afraid, as a new patient. But one of the other girls or boys, we have a boy now. He might not want to be called a boy, but you know what I mean. They will get to you, but if you have any particular Parkinson's questions in the meantime, you can always phone the team and we will get back to you, but it can take us a few days, as everyone else will tell you.
Thank you.
Okay, well, I'm going to love and leave you all, so all the best to everyone.
Okay.
Take care, and we'll speak again.
Okay, good to see you. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye now.
Bye. I'll say goodbye as well, because I'm still here, so I'm still supposed to be working, but I just thought I'd just drop in and say goodbye to you all.
Thank you so much. Enjoy your retirement. Have fun.
Thank you very much.
All the best.
Bye.
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 See, Lydia has joined us. Hello, welcome back. It's nice to see you.
It's lovely to be here.
Yeah. Are you ready to rumble? Do you want?
I am. Yeah.
Right.
So
let me put you on to spotlight to everybody.
Oh wow.
And
okay, so should I share my screen?
Yes, you may.
I'll share my screen then. So I'll play from the start. So let me just remove this. That's better. Or I can have some of you here. I mean, it's gonna, actually I should take this off. So yeah.
Lydia, before you start, if I may, could I just say there's a number of people that are new and wouldn't have seen your first presentation. So maybe I ought to just do a quick intro. Ledia spoke to us 4 months ago, and she's a PhD student at the university, and she's researching exercise and Parkinson's. She took loads of ideas from our members last time around, and she spent the last 4 months now interviewing people to determine the next stage. So we welcomed her back, or invited her back, to share with us where she's at. So over to you. Sorry.
No, that's great. That's excellent summary. I was going to give you a bit of an update. I was going to mention how extremely helpful it was the first meeting here in July. So today's session, I thought it was great timing when you asked me to come back. I was like, yes, I would love to come back and show you some of the things that I've done so far. And as we move to the next phase, which is the focus groups, and that's where we're going to co-design the education program. So it'd be great to hear your thoughts and to get some ideas before we start the focus group discussion. So that's how I built this session today. I was going to talk to you about the survey that I think quite a lot of people from the Cambridge branch took part, and some of them came to the interviews. It was great. And the survey was looking at the understanding the knowledge and experience and also the preferences of people with Parkinson around physical health education, which includes information about exercise and physical activity. So today, I was going to give you a little bit about progress so far. As I said, in July was the time that I presented to you, and the surveys then went live, both for the healthcare professionals and for the people with Parkinson's. And then in August, I started the interviews with people with Parkinson's, and now we're moving to the focus group discussions, where we will analyze, we will discuss the findings from those 2 points and move into having a product and a program that we can then roll out for people with Parkinson's who are newly diagnosed. So we did disseminate as wide as we can with the healthcare professionals, trying to get as many healthcare professionals on board. We used the Excellence Network from Parkinson's, we used different councils and academies and also social medias. And for people with Parkinson's, we looked at Parkinson's UK, obviously, and all the digital channels, and they were extremely helpful in supporting. And we also work with the John Van Ees Centre for Brain Repair with the Barker and Williams Gray Labs, then where they were also extremely helpful and shared our survey with their members, those who are interested in research and have consented to be contacted. So that was very good. And the social media as well. But we wanted to use also the HealthWatch Cambridge and Peterborough, because we wanted to reach out to people who might not necessarily using surveys or using the internet, and we wanted to be as inclusive as we can. And I mentioned this because you're going to notice in a minute about the people that we have in the survey. So I'm going to start discussing now some of the survey findings, but I'm going to start with the population just to give you an idea of who actually participated. So in terms of the age, we had a good representation from 37 years to 87 years old, with a mean of 65 years of age, and we had good representation from male and female participants. And when we asked them about the level of their education, we found that the majority, about 60%, were highly educated to a degree or postgraduate degree, like a master's and PhD. And most of them were, we had, again, good representation in terms of the years with the condition, but most of them were in that 1 to 6 years post-diagnosis. So they identified as being fairly independent, but having some difficulties with day-to-day activities. And when we asked them about their education programs or any education programs that they received around diagnosis or since diagnosis, the majority said no. And those who said yes, it was very interesting to look at their comments. I was trying to figure out where that education, what was the source of that education. And 33% mentioned it was privately sourced, and then 13% was through NHS programs, 21% was Parkinson's UK, the first steps or other education material. 11% was from research, so participating in research, they found that they were actually educating themselves in quite a lot of aspects of Parkinson's. And there was 22% that I couldn't really categorize. That was quite difficult to identify what the source of that education was. But it was interesting to see the numbers. And that's not the most recent, actually. This was done quite far back in September. So I'm sure if we were to look further now, we'll find that the majority have not received an education program. So when we asked about where would they go and find information about exercise and physical activity and their role in Parkinson's, and I apologize, the writing is very tiny, and that's because this is live data from our platform that we're using for the survey, and it's quite tiny, but I will read it for you. So where do you go to find information? The majority said, I look on the internet, and this is where they go, and this is the number that participated. In the majority, more than 300 participants said that I look on the internet. And I should say here, because I forgot to mention, that we had a great response in our survey. We have 420 people with Parkinson participating. So that was extremely amazing. I didn't expect it to be that high, but it's great to have as many people to participate, because we can get a good understanding about the subject. And yeah, so in terms of where would they go, it's looking at the internet, as most of them chose that, and then asking the Parkinson nurse or neurologist was also some of the other options. And then we asked them, how many minutes per week do you exercise? And that is obviously self-reported, and what they think minutes per week they do exercise or be active. And they responded as the majority of them, actually, if you think about 50 minutes and more in a week, majority were doing more than 50 minutes a week. And more than half were actually achieving the World Health Organization recommendation around 150 minutes or more a week. So that was very interesting to see. So only 13% of population was saying, of the participants in the study, said that they were not really active. And you can see that a massive spike here. So these are the minutes. So this is from 0 minutes to 200 minutes a week. And you can see a massive number of participants. A third, like you see here, 100 participants say that they actually got more than 200, more than 150 to like 200 minutes a week, which is really amazing to see. But it's a question of how really representative it is of the wider population with Parkinson's. If only it was like everyone was like, oh, that would be excellent, but then I wouldn't have to do the PhD, which is not a bad thing, but it was interesting anyway to see. And in the interviews we looked at sort of what motivates to be active, what is that is driving you to be active, and it's obviously all those things that most that we are aware is the feeling better both physically and mentally. Looking at how does the exercise impact on the progression, and the fact that they might slow the progression or make the symptoms better. Those were some of the key points that they were mentioning. And I'm just choosing some parts of that I found interesting in the survey. And I was thinking about, I asked participants to look at certain statements and to say how much they agree, or to indicate if they agree or they disagree or they're not sure about it. And I was looking at their level of understanding of Parkinson and how it impacts certain aspects. And it was very interesting to see that the majority of participants here, 50%, they didn't know, and 31% disagree with the fact that people with Parkinson's are 30% less active than the general population of the same age. So that was very interesting. And the second thing that was quite interesting is the fact that there is quite a big discussion around what is exercise and what is physical activity. And when I said the phrase of walking the dog or doing the gardening is a form of exercise, those are forms of exercise, 93% agreed that, yeah, this is a form of exercise, which is very interesting in terms of how people with Parkinson's perceive exercise and physical activity, and whether this is something that we can discuss a bit more, really, to hear your opinion as well. Because exercise is what is structured and what is repetitive and, you know, scheduled, and physical activity is something that, you know, casually you do, like the gardening and walking. Both are extremely good, but they're not classified. Physical activity, exercise is sort of a form of physical activity, would we say? But yeah, it's very interesting to pick up on that, because it's the language that we use when we say, do you exercise? And people say, yes, I do exercise, but they might mean, no, I'm physically active. And that can have completely different meaning. So, and when I asked them about the minutes, again, into my, how many minutes per week do you exercise? And there was 200 minutes. Is that really exercise, or is it physical activity? And we can talk about that if it matters or not. So it'd be interesting. But those were the 2 points that I found quite interesting looking at that. And then I asked them to look at some statements and to indicate if they agree or disagree. And it was very interesting to see that the majority were somewhat agreeing and strongly agreeing with the fact that they feel like they are knowledgeable about the role of exercise in Parkinson's. And they strongly agreed, or somewhat agreed, with the fact that as Parkinson progresses, the information that we receive around exercise needs to change. So it really brings the very good sort of data back and feedback from what I also think as a professional, that, you know, we have to be targeting specifically Parkinson's in different stages, and the information about the exercise that we provide when you're newly diagnosed to when you are sort of more towards 5-6 years later on, or towards 10 years plus, your needs might change. So it's very interesting to see that that's actually, they agreed with that. And the fact that is very important, because the majority, again, strongly agreed here, 66%, and somewhat agreed that knowing which specific exercise to do is what is important. So it's about the specificity, not just knowing generally exercises are good. And lastly, I asked them to think about an education program that is addressed towards people who are newly diagnosed, and what topics should we cover. And the topics that I chose were topics that exist. So from my systematic review, I looked at what programs exist and what topics exist around exercise. So it was informed from research that has already been done. And then I asked them to choose from those topics. And I've just highlighted here sort of the top 7 that came, and it was like the current evidence of why exercise is important, which exercise and how it impacts on my symptoms, and which one is the best exercise for my symptoms, and looking at activities such as Tai Chi and Nordic walking, etc., and what the evidence is around those activities in PD, how to progress the exercise program, and really providing that information about groups and things that they can do locally. And a very important one was also stiffness, pain, balance, and what is normal part of getting older, and what is Parkinson's. And I also asked them how would they like to this program to be delivered to them. And it was very interesting to see that in the top 3, in person obviously is the top. They always will go, I suppose, one-to-one with a clinician, but also online videos was very close to that. And the online group session was the next in terms of the top 3. So people are definitely getting more confident in using online videos and IT, etc. But again, this brings a question in terms of, is this generally the population of Parkinson, or is it just the participants who participated in this survey? So in summary, we know that at diagnosis, people don't receive enough information. They did not know which exercise to do for their symptoms, or what outcomes to expect from their exercise regime. we know that management of their needs majorly is self-directed, looking online for information or using private resources. And we know that the management of needs changes as the Parkinson's progresses. And at present, they feel knowledgeable about the role of exercise. And they report that the majority exercise more than an hour a week, but they would still participate in an education program about exercise and physical activity. And it's very interesting, because if you think that you're knowledgeable, but then you also say, I would participate in an education program. It's interesting to see, okay, so what is missing then? What exactly do we need to focus on? So that still brings me to the discussion point that I wanted to bring with you. So I'm going to stop sharing, but yeah, it's just looking at, you know, what do you think about the survey population in this occasion, and do you think it's representative of the wider population, and how we can ensure that we reach out to a wide range of patients across all socioeconomic groups, and they can engage with research, so we know that actually what we're talking about is acceptable to most people with Parkinson, not just to those who participate in the research. And how can we again design that program so that which will be acceptable and will respond again to the needs of someone who might be less active than those people who said that they participate more than 200 minutes a week in exercise. So I will stop here. And then I hope I didn't go too fast. And then we can have a chat and we can have a discussion about what I was talking about in my survey, and then I can share with you some of the healthcare professionals as well who participated and their views. So what do you think about the people who participated, first of all?
Can you unmute yourselves if you want to raise a point with Ledia? I think fascinating the fact that so many people realise just how important exercise is. Deb, don't say anything at the moment, but I will involve you, if I may, after the conversation. But definitely, I think I need to get you to Deb and Ledia talking, and then you'll understand why as the conversation goes on.
Sure.
Did anybody around the screen get involved with the research?
I think, yeah, Barry. I think I recognise quite a few. I think Marjorie as well. Yeah. I'm not sure, but I think I recognise some places. If you haven't, it's still active, and if you'd like to raise some points, please participate. And I think it's live until end of December. We were going to leave it until September, but because of the richness that was coming from participants, and also the fact that, as I said, the 60% were of a certain education level and certain physical activity level, I'm trying actively to reach out to those who are not so active and see if the needs really are different.
Richard, Richard, fire away.
2 points for me, if I may. Ledia, lovely to talk to you again. I was involved in your survey.
Yes.
I'm looking forward to your focus groups.
Yes.
So 2 points for me. One is I wonder how representative the sample is. I mean, that's exactly the question that you're asking. And certainly from my point of view, the reason I was interested to participate is that I enjoy exercise. I'm very active. I love sport. So I wonder how representative the sample is, whether it was self-selecting with people who are already doing a lot of exercise. The second point for me is about motivation and how we can understand and tap into what motivates people with Parkinson's to exercise, and how we can also address that apathy issue that can arise with Parkinson's and inspire people to exercise.
Absolutely. And can I just quickly, just very quick point, those are so interesting points about motivation and about apathy. And one point in this particular study is that I'm raising the point, does knowledge, really understanding the role, but really understanding why we are suggesting this, is that going to have an impact on apathy and motivation? And if so, how much? If not, then we really know that we cannot be addressing those issues with education. We need to put something a bit more into it. And that would be a really clear sort of person, we're designing a model of care that will be person-centered, not just because you have Parkinson, here we go, here's some information, but what is exactly that you need? So if it is the fact that you feel like you're not so motivated, you feel apathetic, maybe we need to look at other options as well as education, because education is something we all clinicians use, but it might mean that we need something more. So I think that's what I want to look at. Does education have an impact on this? That knowing these things, will that drive the participation or not? If not, that's also a finding, and it means that we need to look at it differently.
David, I saw you with your hand up.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask, is the target for this ultimately a trial to establish that the exercise does slow down progression, for example? Because, I mean, a lot of people think it could do, but as far as I know, there isn't anything in real hard statistical terms to prove this. And is that ultimately the target?
So that's a great point. I was going to share with you a point, or I can just read it to you. So I asked people with Parkinson's to say, Parkinson's is progressive, and although exercise can be useful, it doesn't really slow down the course of Parkinson's. And it was 60% strongly disagreed, 31% somewhat disagreed, 18% they were neutral, 20% somewhat agreed, and 12% again strongly agreed. So you can see that is very sort of on the fence. There's not, even people with Parkinson's, someone really believe it and that drives them, someone really don't believe it, and someone we're not quite sure. So what we know is that exercise is great for a number of reasons. You know, just we know that it reduces risks in chronic conditions. We know that from that is definitely shown. In terms of Parkinson's, we know in the last 10 years the evidence is definitely increasing in saying that it might have a beneficial role in slowing down progression. So that the evidence is definitely slowly coming. So that's one point in terms of exercise. And the second point, no, this trial is not looking at which exercise is going to be more effective in slowing down Parkinson's. This trial is looking at discussing exercise and physical activity, specifically around the why is important, because there's no question that is important. There's no question that is beneficial for many reasons. If you were to think about, you know, cardiovascular, if you were to think about from a point of, as I said, the risk of chronic conditions developing or reducing the risk of developing those conditions, and from the fact that if you are sedentary and you stop exercising or moving, you would definitely lose some of your muscle strength and your balance and all the rest. So those are points that with Parkinson's already exist. If you don't exercise, more likely these will progress a bit faster. So even if it doesn't, if you don't have that robust 100%, here is the evidence, it will slow down Parkinson's. We have very, very strong sort of indication that it helps in many other ways that will also impact on your Parkinson's symptoms, which are your balance, your stiffness, your rigidity, your loss of coordination, all these things. So, but no, it's exactly that. It's not about looking at the effectiveness of exercise. It's about looking at promoting the role of exercise in a certain way that will make people to understand why they're doing exercise or why they should be doing exercise or continue with exercise.
Barry, I see you gesticulating.
Yeah, I'd just like to say that the big issue with me is not the motivation to exercise. It's the fact that how do you exercise when you have comorbidities like arthritis and problems with joint, spine, and basically you're in a constant state of pain. Absolutely.
That is an excellent point that came throughout the interviews with most people with Parkinson's and in the surveys. And exactly that. How do you exercise when you have comorbidities? And it's just basically, again, looking at that person and looking at that person-centered model, looking at what you do, Barry, and which exercises you can do without your pain being aggravated, and then working on those types of exercise, working on in a pool, for example, if arthritis is the issue, because you have that buoyancy, we have the 70% of your or 6% of your body weight lifted, so therefore you might not have so much pain. And in the pool, targeting these issues like stiffness or the strength or the balance, and trying to work with the person and what they can and cannot do, they enjoy and they do not enjoy, and then build the best program for them.
Oz, I saw you've got your hand up.
Thank you. Motivation. I didn't notice my response. Perhaps it was because it came in late, but in the number of options that people had chosen, it's my wife that motivates me.
Many said that. So yes, many people said that their wife, that having a wife that really pushes them, that helps, and that's great. But yeah, motivation is a big, is something that's big, and I don't think that we can discuss, how important or how tricky things can be when the motivation is not there, or you don't find something that motivates you. But there is research that shows that knowing that having that knowledge of what one can do and what exercise can help them to achieve, that motivates them. I know that doesn't apply to everyone, and nothing can ever apply to everyone, and not everyone is responding to everything. Like with any medication, any pill, it doesn't work the same for anybody. But it's just finding that is the key, and looking at, okay, so then how would we then cater for everyone?
Thank you. Might be an opportunity. Deb. Deb has been in contact with me, and she has got an acquaintance who is a PD warrior, and she is looking to establish an exercise group based around Sawston.
Oh, cool.
And it just strikes me that we're talking about exercise. We know that it's very important. And I've got a member who's actively trying to engage with Parkinson's. It presents the branch with just a little bit of an issue, because we're only permitted to approve or to work on one activity at a time. And that activity is getting face-to-face meetings up and running, which is the 25th. And after the 25th of February, and after that, we can then look at other activities. But it would be really useful, maybe if Deb just could tell us what her thoughts are, what her plans are with her colleague, and then just get an indication around the screen as to whether people would be interested in an activity. Because I think if there is a strong view around the screen, then the committee's got to go back to Parkinson's and say, we want to hasten things along.
I recently completed the PD warrior myself as well, because obviously I'm a physio, but I had done the level 1, and I recently did the level 2, which was running after COVID. So it was very interesting. And yeah, so it's nice to see someone is in.
Yeah, I mean, the situation as things currently stand is that Paul Goddard, who I met 5 or 6 years ago when I originally moved my mum and dad down to this area, he actually did an exercise program with my dad, who found it very beneficial, and I've maintained contact with Paul throughout all this time. Paul Goddard, he is a very experienced remedial and rehabilitation trainer. He's worked with the British Lung Foundation, heart attack and stroke victims, is also working very much with Parkinson's, has done the PD warrior program. He also does Nordic walking and does Tai Chi for well-being as well. And a couple of years ago, he started working with an organisation called Active with Parkinson's Uttlesford, which covers the Uttlesford district. And when Keith sent out the newsletter last month about people bemoaning the fact that there was a shortage of exercise in the Cambridge area, I asked Paul whether he'd be, excuse me, willing to establish a class in South Cambs, which he was. And I obviously, as a testament to my dad, who I lost to Parkinson's last year, I said that I'd take on all the organisation and admin functions of trying to get that established. Progress so far is that we are looking to start a class in Sawston starting the 4th of January. And really what I need to do is really get at least 10 people attending, so that it, you know, is viable to run it. So yeah, that's the situation as things currently stand. I have 6 expressions of interest so far. I have engaged with Granta Medical Practices, with the Parkinson's team at Brookfield Hospital. Amanda Eady, who was my dad's Parkinson's nurse, she has come back to me and said, yes, you know, there is very much a need for this provision in this locality. One of the things that she did comment to me though, and again, talking about what people are saying about motivation, she said, you know, even though it is offered by the NHS initially free of charge, an exercise programme, that they do actually always struggle to get sufficient people to attend it. And obviously I've no idea whether that's because of the location or what the problem is in doing that, but yes, so I'm very hopeful that we will be able to get this exercise class off the ground in Sawston. Obviously initially it is effectively just me and Paul doing it, but I hope that should we get sufficient support, that we will be able to establish a sort of a formal organisation called Active with Parkinson South Cambs. But you know, we obviously just need to see how this initial course is going to go first. I can personally vouch for the fact that Paul is a great instructor, very motivational, very inspirational. He works hard, but everybody that I know that has attended any of his classes really enjoys them and gets a lot of benefit from them. So, so I hope we will get past the, you know, the viability point with that. But I will make a go, no-go decision on that by the 10th of December, whether we have enough people or not.
So, anybody around the screen, one of the 6 that have shown an interest, and is anybody interested in sort of swelling the numbers so that it allows Deb to get it going? So we've got Mickey, Richard, Marjorie, and Oz, and Rob, and David. Excellent. So,
is this going to be in person or virtual?
Well, what it will be, it's going to be a face-to-face group session on Tuesday afternoons at 2 o'clock at St Mary's Hall in Sawston. And then it will be a Zoom online session at 4 o'clock on Thursday afternoons. So you will get two sessions a week, one in person, one online, and that will be for currently a cost of £10 for those 2 sessions. Obviously, once we hopefully can become a formal organisation, I can then sort of start looking at grants and applying for sort of funding and things, which you know, could subsidise the cost at some point in the future. But as things currently stand, because it is effectively a private organisation at the moment until we can become a legal entity, it obviously does need to cover the costs, and I've got room hire to pay for, and obviously Paul needs to be paid for as well. I'm actually offering all my sort of organisational and admin services completely voluntarily in memory of my dear dad.
I think it's a wonderful initiative, and it's one that the branch will, I'm confident, get behind. But it's due process.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that, Keith.
But certainly reading the information, reading our email exchanges and feedback from my colleagues, I'm certain that we will be able to get behind it, but we can't make that commitment straight away. But if we can get members to commit, we will be along there in the background soon.
Yes, that'd be lovely.
So let me so that's Marjorie and Oz, David, Mickey, Richard. That's fantastic. Okay, I will, if I may, can I, those of you that have put your hand up, can I share your contact details? And you, Rob,
please.
If I can share email addresses to Deb, then Deb can get in touch.
Yes.
And that probably will provide you with the core number that you need to make it a goer.
Yes, would it be brilliant? So yes, I'm hoping first session will be on the 4th of January, Tuesday afternoon. That initial session, what we're planning on doing is doing a meet and greet. Come and have a cup of tea and a cup of coffee, slice of cake, meet Paul, meet me, have an introduction to his exercise program, have a chat about the weights and bands and things that you'll need. Ask any questions, have a demonstration, and then the following week everything will sort of start in earnest with the programme. So, you know, and obviously meet fellow classmates and things like that. So it will be a bit of a social meet up as well.
Lydia, would you like to be in touch with Deb to sort of monitor progress on that, because there could well be some real gains for you in your research?
Absolutely, yes. If in any way I can be of help, or there is the way that I cannot see, you know, that we could connect and link and a source of support, it's very good. Also, from my point of view in the research, to know that such resources exist, especially like a PD warrior type of exercise class. Then it'd be something to signpost people who we meet and take part into the research, into the education, because I think it's quite important to know, okay, so this is what's happening with the education, then what do we do if we wanted to be active? So signpost them and promote those sort of local groups. That would be great, yeah.
That's brilliant. So I'll share your email addresses with each other, if I may.
Could you add us as well, please?
Sorry?
Could you add Christine Renshaw for...
Yeah. Oh, sorry, Christine, I didn't see your hands up. Sorry. Will do. That's brilliant.
That is brilliant. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
We'll make it happen.
Let's make it happen, Deb. I agree. Absolutely. Yeah, for you and for you, in memory of your dad. Brilliant.
Yes.
Any questions anybody would like to ask of either Deb or Ledia? Is there anything you need more from the branch, Ledia?
It'd be very interesting to get an ideas or any sort of comments on, if we were to design an intervention or an education program, what does it need to tap on in order to, you know, if you were to look about what we just mentioned about that Richard and quite a few all mentioned about motivation. So how should it be presented, or how should it be delivered that it will be motivational for someone who's just recently been diagnosed? What sort of points should I take into the focus group discussions that you think are worth? It's quite a difficult question, and feel free to think about it and email me. You've all got my email address. If not, happy to share it again, and just provide, because I do appreciate that it might be difficult to think on the spot, but if we were to trying to motivate people or trying to provide knowledge that would motivate someone to participate, how should that knowledge be delivered? How should that education or information be delivered?
Barry, have you got, yeah, Barry?
It's a comment really, and the thing I would like to comment about is basically the fact that the NHS seems to be able to provide a lot of services to a lot of people for things that don't relate to healthy living, and basically from my point of view, an NHS massage once a month would make a hell of a difference to my motivation to be able to do some of the things that I want to do, but feel constrained by, both physically and pain. You know, you get smokers that are given bicycles, or basically other people are given swimming lessons, and you know, it seems to me that there's a mismatch here somewhere along the line as to what is required from the point of view of providing somebody with a decent state of health, and something which is to some extent self-imposed penalty on yourself.
Mm. That's
I can't really express that any more clearly than that, really, without expressing more anger than that.
The one thing I can add isn't fully answering your point, Barry, but when we start back in February, Alex Allen, our aromatherapist, will be reappearing and offering sort of hand and neck massages, aromatherapy massages, as a part of the branch service. So not what you want in terms of full body, but
the neck is really good as well.
Yeah, yeah.
Amazing. So, who's that person? Sorry.
It's a lady called Alex Allen. She used to work for Duncan Forsyth,
Yes.
and the nursing service. And when she retired, she trained to be an aromatherapist. And so, yeah, she is a friend of the branch.
Amazing.
Yeah.
No, you are right, though, Barry. It's very interesting what impact the massage or a soft tissue work can have in training, making it a bit more mobile and active. So, but yeah, unfortunately, it's more of those things that is self-paid and self-directed.
Well, everybody, if there's no other points, I'd like to sort of say to Ledia, thank you very much. Again, I'm astounded at how much it has progressed in 4 months, and sort of, you know, brilliant work. Certainly you've kept us fully engaged and very enthused, and I suspect if there's some lacking of motivation, you may well have improved it. I was thinking about my own, you know, I'm not a person with Parkinson's, but I do find motivating to get exercise really difficult, other than playing golf. And yeah, I think I'm encouraged to do something.
That is true. We all struggle with motivation. I think it's definitely something that, but as I said, there might be other ways of finding it, and we need to find how much through the knowledge or how much the understanding of the reasoning why you're doing it actually motivates. And if it doesn't motivate enough, how can we top that up? Yeah. Especially for those who struggle more.
You'll approach the people in your survey for your focus groups, will you?
Sorry?
You'll approach the people in your survey to form your focus groups?
Yes, we had about, as I said, 420 people participating, and about 75 or 85% of them said, please include me to the next stage of your research. So then I contacted them and for the interviews, and then I contacted them for some more for the focus groups, which will start in November. And Richard is one of the people there. So that looking forward to finding how we can actually design a program that is good enough to motivate and to provide that information that everyone needs, that they can then take that message and information and take it into practice and an exercise that can benefit them.
That's fantastic.
Well, thank you very much for everything. Really, it's been great to discuss with you, as I say, because every time I come here, I get more little light bulbs kind of going, and I think, oh yeah, that's a good idea, and that's the whole purpose of doing a project with people with Parkinson's, with the healthcare professionals, so we can bring everyone together and everyone's perspective together to create something that is so much needed, especially around the time of diagnosis, starting from there and then moving forward as it progresses and the needs change. So yeah, it's just excellent. So please email me if you have any great ideas or any points that I need to think about when I address it into the focus groups, or how to
make. As a group, we aim to please, so I'm really pleased.
Yes, and if I can help in any way with Deb or any way, literally just reach out, and I'm very happy. And it's been great to reach out to other members that you suggested from last time I was here, and that's been excellent for me.
Can I ask us just put our hands together for Ledia, please?
And now for you, thank you so much, because, you know, I'm so pleased that so many people participated.
You're welcome.
It was great to see
so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you very, very much. All the best. Enjoy the rest of the day. Bye.
Guys, before we end the session, just a few sort of notices. You recall a couple of weeks ago, or a couple of months ago, we had the people from Card Medic came and spoke to us. And they're interested in setting up a user group. So I shall put an email out in the next week or so, probably with this recording link on it, with contacts to get hold in, to contact Michelle Gasper to form a group. I've spoken about Deb, and we will continue to chat. Our next meeting is on the 22nd, and it's one of our members is going to be talking to us. It's Maggie Chalice, and she's going to be telling the story of her mother and her aunt, who were German evacuees into the UK, and they were housed, would you believe, with an R in Bevan in South Wales, and they discovered the aunt had been writing poetry, and she's going to be reading some of the poetry, which is incredibly moving. So that's next week, 2 weeks' time. Alan Brown, our resident artist who spoke to us a few months ago, he dropped me a note to say that he's on River Stigmine, I think, that's eased his tremor, and he's now back playing his guitar. And he and his wife have actually recorded a song called The Parky Parky Shake. And it's a bit rap, but it is very funny. And I'm certain that those of us that have got any association with Parkinson's will smile at the fun being poked at in a self-derogatory manner, which is lovely. So I will check with Alan, but he sent me the recording. I was going to play it today, but we're running out of time. But I may well get Alan to come and talk through that maybe next time.
Keith, very briefly. Yes. I think if my ears didn't mistake, I thought you said the 22nd. Should be the 26th, shouldn't it?
You're dead right. You're absolutely right. Thank you so much. 26th. Yes.
Okay.
Thank you. Freudian slip. 26th.
Okay.
So thank you all for joining today. I think a fascinating subject. It's lovely to see a project actually developing and being involved in that development. And I think the work that Deb's trying to get together actually supports what Ledia is doing. So I think we've got the start of something going here, and I'm excited by the prospect. So thank you all indeed. Thumbs up. Thanks you all. Enjoy the rest of the sunshine, Barry and Jackie, and the rest of us will get back. It's now sunny in the UK, by the way.
That's very difficult to enjoy the sunshine, you know.
Oh, stop it. Go away.
It'll be tough for you.
Time for a G&T, I think.
Right. Cheers, everybody. Lovely seeing you all.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.